Hello, friends. Welcome back to Reimagine with Renata and Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. I've missed you guys. It hasn't been that long, but I have missed you guys. I spent much of the holiday season or the latter part of December healing. And not in the way you might think. I actually have foot surgery. And so I was like home with my foot elevated and just soaking up all the holiday season had to offer via foods and television. So I binged watched a few things, which we'll chat about, but I did eat way too much. I love food, and it's on me. I was faced with the harsh reality today that I do not fit many of the clothes that I own, nor do I wear the size that I think I wear. So I don't know if I set resolutions, but I do plan for my year ahead and declare specific goals that I want to accomplish and then chart out a plan to achieve them. Call it resolutions if you want. I believe that a resolution is like letting go of something. So if we were going to speak in terms of resolutions, I would say one of mine is to release at least 30 pounds. And this has been a consistent resolution for quite some time. But now that I've put on this extra weight, I have to say in the month of December, I probably gained about 10 pounds, which is crazy. I need to release it. And so I am working towards that, and I'll bring you guys on that journey. I'll, chat about it and post some videos to social media. So if you aren't following me, you should do so ASAP. I am Reign with Renata, REIGN with Renata on Instagram, Reign with Renata on Twitter, Reign with Renata on TikTok, and subscribe to my channel. If you are viewing this on YouTube, subscribe to my YouTube at Renata Del Carmen. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever podcasts are streamed, subscribe, follow, and be updated so that you know about not just this episode, but future episodes where I have guests. If you've been watching or listening, then you know we've been discussing love and relationships. And I had the pleasure of speaking with Nelia Escobar and collaborating with the Healing All Year podcast back in November. And there was so many comments around some of the clips from that show, but it was an amazing show and a healing show, I might add. We spoke about dating culture in 2022 and dabbled in dating apps and stuff of that nature. So it was a really cool conversation that I think a lot of people would benefit from, especially those that are single and feel frustrated with the dating culture that exists today. And then I had a conversation with many of my friends from Hello Beautiful People podcast. We talked about Christian dating. And, as a follower of Christ, I am always conscious of how someone that is pursuing me or that I would like to date, how they fit into the lifestyle and the purpose that I am blessed with. So Christian dating, it's a bit, I don't want to say controversial, but I believe that there are varying perspectives, and that can be controversial when trying to set a standard for dating or normalize dating within our culture. So that was a great conversation as well. And I think neither of those conversations have ended. I think they're just the beginning of future conversations that would support us in reimagining love and relationship as a culture, a society, a people, a human race, perhaps, because baby, it's terrible outside and we can do better. That's all I'll say about that. And better is relative, I guess, because some people are pursuing love and relationship in ultimately marriage, and some are not. So they don't necessarily feel the need to figure out how to date or be in relationship with people. But I think a lot of the things we discussed and are continuing to discuss are relative to how people interact with people in general. I think the pandemic created a very, very toxic, I don't know if I want to use the word toxic, but it came to mind, very toxic environment for people to interact and engage with each other. And I don't know how far away we are from a resolution. But it would help for us to reimagine what life is like now in community. I don't know that enough of us are thinking community. I am a self-care advocate and I love all things self-care, but I want to remind us to not be selfish. Self-care is about preserving ourselves and ensuring that we put our mask on first before supporting others, but we still support others. So just keep that in mind. So upcoming is a conversation with a few married couples, and we're going to continue to talk about love and relationship from their perspective. So I'm excited for that conversation. Over this time of like healing with my foot and just a downtime during the holidays, I happened to binge a few shows. And many of them were focused on love and relationship. Like, who would have thought? No, I'm cool with it. They were great shows. I think some of the shows were, I don't know, there were so many moments where I was like, why are we here? And I think so many people can relate to so many of those scenarios. And the first thing I binged was From Scratch. Okay. Now, if you have not seen From Scratch, I will warn you, there are a few spoilers coming your way. So if you care, I would say pause this and watch From Scratch. If you don't care, here are my thoughts, immediate thoughts. So a friend recommended the show, and I actually saw a lot of people speaking about it on social media. So I had interests anyway, but because my schedule is so hectic, it takes a lot for me to sit down and binge a show, or like keep up with certain shows. So I decided, let me binge it. And second episode, I was pissed off because why, okay, let me first start with the synopsis. Basically, a Black woman, I believe from Texas, because I was in and out of the show, either Texas or California, Texas, I want to say, moves to Italy to pursue her career in art. She's an artist, and she meets a man, an Italian man, who's a chef. She is Black, he is white Italian, right? He is dreamy in a sense that really caring, loving, respectful gentleman, but also building his career and figuring out his path, but what it means with her, and obviously the difference in culture and all of that. She falls in love with him, and baby, episode 2, she's proposing to him down on her knee. I was through. I was so through. No. And if you know me, you know I'm not proposing to a man ever. Never would I ever. So there was that already had me like, this is a bit much. But as the show progresses, you learn more about each their family dynamics, each family's makeup, and you realize his relationship with his father is very strained. You realize that she has always been the focus of her family, and her sister's accomplishments kind of go non-celebrated or unnoticed, but they just never are a priority because of the main character. And that was a little upsetting, that her sister always had to take a back seat to whatever was happening in her life. And as this relationship with the Italian man and Zoe Saldana's character evolves, it just continues to become a focal point. He really, more than anything, like his needs, his concerns, his health. And I understand that in love and in a marriage, you want to always be sure that you are thinking in your partner's best interests, and ensuring that your family is in a safe space. And so everything she did after they were married, I think, was right. I think, without saying cancer is involved, and I think where I've been in the last 4 to 5 years with my family, to watch that, it was just too soon to watch someone pass. Oh, sorry. Am I giving away details? I told y'all spoilers were coming. Yeah, so that was that. I think it was good. It was just very sad and depressing, and I was just like, maybe not the right time for me to watch it. Then I also binged Harlem on Amazon Prime, which it's long overdue. I know, but I had to get it in before season 2. And season 2, I am ready for. I think there were so many things in season 1, between the failed relationships, the fail and try again, which is like, why are we here? Why are we doing this? Why are we subjecting ourselves to trauma in the name of love? And to be honest, that was my thought with From Scratch. She didn't know, right? It was like, I love him, we can make this work, we can build a life together, that type of thing. But in Harlem, it's like, in each relationship, whether it's with a romantic relationship or relationship to your career, it's like consistently subjecting themselves to trauma in the name of success. And it made me think, like, does success have to be this difficult? There's productive struggle, and then there's just like lack of wisdom or inability to learn from your mistakes. I'm just saying. But Harlem was a really good series, and if you haven't seen it already, Megan Good does an amazing job. I didn't even know Whoopi was in it. Whoopi is so funny wherever she is. And I think Harlem is such an amazing series, and I'd love to see where it goes. So I'm excited for season 2. What else did I watch? I watched From Scratch. I watched Harlem. I watched the final chapter of Surviving R. Kelly, and I think that maybe needs its own episode, but it's just interesting to me to see how much continues to come out about his cases and the people involved, and just the fact that he is still currently the only one that is incarcerated, because it seems to me that there are more people that should be behind bars. That's all I'll say about that. So I did watch that as well. I think for me, I, along with binging all of those shows, started to think more about the decisions that I'm making in my life and how I'm making those decisions, and how those decisions are impacting my future. So I wrote a book in 2016, How Treasures Emerge. It is available on Amazon. And, well, the ebook anyway. And in that book, I have a chapter on decisions. And I'm like, am I practicing what I'm preaching? I had to pull out the book. I had to pull it out. And I'm reading through the chapter on decisions. And there are so many things that stuck out to me. The first being one of my quotes, which is, whoever has your ear has your life. Seriously, who you seek advice from is critical in this season. Critical. Because not only are these decisions impacting you, we don't know how many years one decision, we don't know how many years one decision affects, but we are in a space where we are making decisions, some of us, based in fear because of the pandemic, the recession, inflation, our country's leadership. There are so many reasons people are making decisions, whether it be things we think are super amazing, like buying a home, or whether it's moving across the country or to another continent. Whatever it is, a lot of what has happened in the past 3 years has shaped our decisions. And sometimes those decisions are based in fear and we don't even realize it. But one thing that stuck out to me was this chapter about risk taking. But it doesn't start there. It starts with decisions take you from one moment in life to the next. The thing that few people admit is that a safe decision is not necessarily the best decision. We have to become more critical when making a choice. Risk takers are often viewed as crazy, but they may be, depending on a revelation, only made available to them for their circumstance. When we begin to include the opinions of others, we start to drift away from what is true for us and begin to make decisions based on another person's truth and image of us. Guidance from friends and family during your decision-making process matters, but God's plan is greater. So that says enough by itself. But if you don't know, typically in January, I do a Daniel fast, 21 days, limited to none of meats, sugars, carbs, and meats includes red meat, poultry, seafood, none of that. It is a way that I build a relationship with God. It is a way that I also cleanse my body, because whether that is the goal or not, when you limit these things in your body and are only drinking water or like fluids or having vegetables only, your body naturally detoxes. So that is the health benefit to it as well. But it's really about building a deeper relationship with God and being able to seek His answers and purpose for your life, His wisdom, more of His Spirit. And when you think about, or when I think about, speak for myself, when I think about the past 2 or 3 years, there have been times where I've made decisions because of the influence of another person as opposed to God. And I don't care how deep down in your Bible you want to believe you are, there are times where you make decisions based on factors that have nothing to do with God. And as an adult, I understand that there are people younger than me that I influence, children, my daughter, people that I work with, that seek advice and support from me. And I have people that I go to and seek advice and support from. But we have to be so in tune with God to know that His decision for us, His requirement for us, matters more than any human understanding of our circumstance. So for me, I think I want to focus on how I am making decisions in 2023. I have heard a lot of people talk about discipline, this being a year of discipline, and I believe that. Multiple people have said it from different sides of the world have named that discipline is a focus for 2023, and I was like, I feel that wholeheartedly, and I can say that that is an area that requires my attention. But also decision making and how I'm making decisions and if they are rooted in God's plan for me. So in 2023, we are not leaning on our own understanding, but in all ways we are acknowledging God so that He can direct our path. That is a vision and goal for every year, but absolutely intentional about it in this year, 2023. So I don't know if that resonates with any of you, and by all means, seek God for what is necessary for you in this year. But know that that is imperative to your success. And defining success is also something we want to seek God for. A lot of us are chasing what we see. And we should be chasing what God said. We see a lot of things. There are a lot of images on social media. There is a lot to be desired, but there's also a lot to condemn, I would say. Yeah. So I hope this was super helpful. I am excited for this next chapter of 2023 and what it has to offer. I'm moving a bit differently, and I'm hoping no one takes it personally, but I'm also not concerned because I'm doing what God desires of me, what's best for me in 2023. Not selfish, self-care, self-love, self-preservation, but not selfish. So I am looking forward to sharing more of this journey with you. Again, if you are not following, please do. And I look forward to learning more about you. In the comments, tell me what you're planning for 2023. What are your resolutions, if you have any? What are your goals, your visions, declarations? And how are you being intentional about your self-care in 2023? I'll speak to you soon.